The AK-47 is the strongest weapon in CS2 right now, and it's easy to see why. So this video is a deep dive on everything you might need to know about the AK. The AK is known for its headshots. One click, and boom, decimation. This gun is the most versatile weapon in the game, with the highest multi-frag potential of any weapon. With the AWP's downfall in CS2, the AK can be argued to take the #1 spot. Across every version of Counter-Strike, the AK has endured as a staple, from the original Source mod all the way to current day CS2, with mechanics and stats that changed barely at all. So let's start with the stats. The AK costs 2,700, can only be purchased on the T side, and for every kill with the AK you get a solid $300 reward. It has a 30 bullet magazine and 90 reserve ammo, making it great for wallbangs or smoke spam. You move 14% slower with the AK compared to the knife, which gives decent leeway for outmaneuvering during gunfights with movement. But how much damage does the AK do? This depends on 3 factors: the range, the armor, and where they're going to be shot. At point blank range against a fully armored opponent, a headshot kills in one shot, dealing above 100 damage. A lower body shot deals 34 damage, an upper body shot deals 27 damage, and feet and legs deal 27 damage. At long range, a headshot can deal 99 damage against a fully armored opponent, but I mean a really long range, like dust too long, against each wall's long. Most of the time it will deal above 100 damage. A lower body shot can do as little as 31 damage, an upper body shot does 24 damage, and feet and leg shots do 24 damage. Now when you're in game, knowing an AK's exact damage number doesn't help you. What does help you is this. An AK takes 3 shots at close range to the body to kill, but 4 shots to the body at long range to kill. Damage thresholds are more important than damage numbers. So along that logic, it takes 4 extremity shots at close range and 5 at long range. So next time you think about shooting an enemy who you can only see the bottom of, you know exactly how many shots you're going to need to land. Economy. Economically, the Ts can purchase an AK on the second round if things go well enough. Being a favourite of the T gun round, the AK sees a lot of action. But even in half-fire rounds, the AK is used from time to time. Now the AK is the best rifle in the game, but often higher level players will sacrifice that in return for a full grenade belt and compromise to a Galil or a Mac-10. This is because at high levels, if you don't apply pressure and fight for map control with utility, the game gets very difficult very quickly. Relatively unique to the AK is the hero gun round, where one player will play with this gun while their team is fully ecoed, baiting their team and trying to trade them out with their superior firepower. Hero gun rounds can happen with an M4 or any other rifle, but that's usually because of saved weapons, whereas the AK can be bought for the purpose of the hero gun round specifically. This is because the one-shot potential of the AK makes it a great option for opening rounds, and the cheaper 2700 price tag makes it great for lower buys. So if you're having a great game or have a teammate who's tearing people up, it can be worth it to sacrifice a deagle and armor for someone else to have AK and armor, and let them play to trade your death, because at the end of the day, one person with an AK and head armor is better than 2 deagles and body armor. Recoil. In CS2 for some reason, which may or may not be a skill issue on my part, recoil control is much harder than CSGO. The AK, compared to its CT counterpart, has a much more difficult recoil pattern, but with enough practice it can be learned. The AK's recoil pattern looks like this. For the first 7 bullets, it's a simple pull down and a slight horizontal adjustment. Afterwards it hooks back and forth for the rest of the magazine. How do you use the AK? When do you tap? When do you burst? When do you spray? Tap fire is the easiest to answer. Tap fire is exclusive to 3 scenarios. The first is when you're in extremely long range, where the inaccuracy from bursting and spraying make them inefficient options. The second is when you sneak behind a group of people and need to line up a clean one tap for the first shot to transfer into a spray for the second. The third is when you're running extremely low on ammo and need to conserve bullets. For example, 2 people are running at you and you only have 4 bullets. In this case, only headshots will do and it pays to conserve your ammo. Burst fire with the AK. Burst firing is the most commonly used shooting technique for the AK. Those first 5 bullets are a simple enough recoil that they provide a great consistency that spraying doesn't give you. A less mechanically inclined player may think it's spraying, but in a server of decently skilled players, bursting is the go-to. This is because moving until you line up a burst fire on the enemy is just more efficient. Burst firing doesn't commit you to staying still and gives you many more options during a gunfight. Whether that's to move and burst again, to try and run while firing, or to transition into a full spray if necessary. Spraying with the AK. Again, this is probably almost certainly a skill issue, but in 2025 the spray just doesn't hit the way it used to. Setting my lack of skill not being able to hit a 5-man spray down like I used to aside, the spray is that red button. The panic mode that says I have no choice but to kill you and everyone else on my screen, or I'm dead. If someone's running you down, or if you get trapped in a gunfight where running isn't an efficient option, spraying's the move. And when you're holding a static angle, spraying is usually the go-to. But if you can finish someone off with the first few bullets, a spray isn't necessary. Having explained spraying, bursting, and tapping with the AK, and honestly with most rifles, let's go into greater detail about shooting patterns and techniques. These all work best with the AK due to it being the best rifle and that headshot potential, but these can also be used with other rifles. There are literally innumerable ways to connect different movements and shooting types. Tapping, bursting, spraying, moving, crouching, and even jumping can all be combined in different ways to make a bunch of different shooting techniques. So let's start with one that's famous and new in CS2, the donk slide. At its simplest, it's a peek out into a spraying crouch slide back into cover. The idea behind this being that you're covering as much of your body as possible whilst being a moving target whilst shooting at the enemy with decent accuracy. It's pretty powerful. And it takes a little bit of practicing to get the muscle memory down because it requires precise inputs, but it's certainly worth it. The donk slide is best used when you're behind cover and you know that you could peek out onto an enemy, but it's going to be dangerous. This peek lets you take that fight with minimal risk, so it's great for when you're on a bomb site defending alone, because even if you don't get the kill after peeking out, you get back safely into cover once the move is done, so I would recommend trying the donk slide. The ducking burst. This technique is simply tapping the crouch key for a few moments mid-burst fire. It's an extremely common technique that's extremely effective relative to how easy it is to implement. You might be doing it already, and it increases your accuracy and moves your head hitbox, making their headshot angle miss. It can be useful when you're trying to entry into someone you know is going to be holding you with a headshot angle. Just be careful not to press that crouch key too hard, or make a habit of crouching fully too often, because moving around in CS2 seems to be the winner's choice, rather than crouching for an accurate spray. The reason I'm talking about a few shooting techniques is to encourage you to be creative with how you use the AK. Because if you're constantly thinking and trying to come up with new uses, you'll constantly be improving.